Youtooz Wise Old Man. Outer box. The detail is good, very RuneScape-esque, but it is very dark and hard to see, and there's not that much detail that I can make out, so it gets a 7 out of 10. And here is the inner box. He is the first one in the series. Detail is a little more clear on the inner box, a little more detail, it's a lot lighter. Inside of the box is very reminiscent to the outside. It kind of loses points for that. So the overall inner box gets a 8 out of 10. And here's the figure itself. They have a lot of added details in it that I didn't notice before, like the gold coins at the bottom. I like the staff that he has. The overall design is very RuneScape-esque. It's not too simple, but also very creative. I like how they gave us a clear lightning bolt and strike at the bottom, with the added detail that the Youtooz logo is right there. His glasses actually have film in them and are still see-through, so you can look into his eyes. So his overall score is a 10 out of 10 for the figure. On to the stability. His stability is good, except for the backside. He's very front heavy, so if you end up putting him down somewhere, make sure that you don't accidentally hit him on the front. Stability is an 8 out of 10. So with the outer box being a 7 out of 10, the inner box being an 8 out of 10, the figure itself a 10 out of 10, and the stability being a 8 out of 10, the overall score for Youtooz Wise Old Man ends up being an 8.25 out of 10.
I've saved countless villages from unspeakable terrors and slain innumerable evil monsters.
Youtooz Gnome Child. Outer box. Similar to the other bots in the collection, I do kind of dock points for the collection ones not being as open and creative. This one is going to be a 7 out of 10. On to the inner box. And here's the inner box. Gnome Child is the second figure in this collection. In my opinion, the inner box is a lot more creative and has a lot more detail compared to its other companion. The inside of the box is again the same as the outside, so it does lose points for that, but it does a good job in terms of its creativity with the quotes and the design, so the inner box ends up being a 9 out of 10. On to the figure itself. And here is the figure itself. The Gnome Child for this collection comes with a variety of different ones that could have different signs. I'm making wine out of raisins. Click here to continue. Overall, the design seems pretty simple, but then again, the actual gnome character in the game is also a pretty simple design, not as detailed as the wizard. So I'm not going to take away points for that because I feel like they still paid attention to how the figure should have been. Like, for instance, you got the detail of the mouth here. He still gave it the Youtooz eyes without it feeling like it stood out too much. And he's still sitting on his little mushroom, which has a lot of RuneScape details and designs on it in terms of its patterns and colors. So overall, I will give the figure itself a 9 out of 10. In terms of stability, okay, its stability is not that great, especially when it comes to the hitting it from the back, so just be careful of that. I'll end up giving the stability a 7 out of 10. So overall, with the outer box being a 7 out of 10, the inner box being a 9 out of 10, the figure itself being a 9 out of 10, and the stability being a 7 out of 10, the overall score for Youtooz Gnome Child ends up being an 8 out of 10. So with that, the first series of the Youtooz collection ends up being with the Old Man, the Wise Old Man, being an 8.25 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10 for the Gnome Child, which leads the total score to an 8.125 out of 10 for the entire series. Well done, Youtooz.